Hello Factorio engineers, welcome to my Factorio Overhaul Madness series. This time I'm diving into Angels and Bob's mods. I played this run on default settings as always, and after a few hours I realized that pollution was turned off. I didn't change the settings and just continued like that. That's why I will not research the technologies that require alien science packs. There is another way to obtain alien artifacts, but they are not mandatory to complete the game. In this video you will see the entire base progression from the very beginning up to this point. I will also add all the additional mods I used in the description. Let's get started. There are no iron or copper ore pads in this mod. Instead, we use saphirite and sterite at first. The closest ore pads are here, so I'm going to build my base around this area. I produce iron plates using crushed saphirite and I built my first stop here. After progressing a bit in the tech tree, I will rebuild this section. Copper plates come from crushed sterite over here. Until I place some belts, I will be moving back and forth between these two spots. I slowly increase production. The crushed stone output needs to be handled, so for now I convert it into stone. Automation science packs are fully automated and running smoothly. Copper plate and copper cable production are stable for now. I set up this section for wood production. After saphirite and sterite, I also started using bobmonium ore. I keep stockpiling stone bricks for later use. There are ore sorting facilities where crushed saphirite turns into iron ore, copper ore and slag. Crushed bobmonium is converted into tin ore, silicon ore and slag. I separate the slag, send the ores here, turn them into ingots, then into molten metal, and finally into plates. This setup is temporary and won't last long. Everything I built at this stage is just for early progression. Compressed air is required for nitrogen and oxygen. I'm preparing this area for logistics science packs. Logistics science packs are ready, but production is low at the moment. I started using electric mining drills, and power consumption is around 15 megawatts. I'm using coal as fuel, which comes from this area. I also begin sorting crushed sterite along with saphirite and bobmonium. Stone bricks are used for pipe production. I built crushed rubid sorting here, which produces lead and nickel. They are not working right now because the miners ran out of fuel. I was filling them manually, but I forgot to do that as always. Now everything is running properly. I upgraded the assemblers and rebuilt the science pack production here. I also built a new plate production setup and dismantled the old one. I will use the empty space for other plates. This rubber box looks very useless. I keep storing excess slag, expecting it to be useful later. I keep expanding the base and constantly adding new production chains. I started multi-phase oil processing and split it into different products. Crude oil is also separated into multiple outputs. I will use all of these in different places and this area will soon become very messy. It's getting crowded and I like it. I crafted my first advanced circuit and I will need a lot of them for chemical science packs. I started to turn crushed ores into chunks. Wastewater and geos must also be used, otherwise production stops, as you can see here. Chunks will unlock new ores. I will produce other ore chunks as well. Slag is still piling up, but since I realized it's needed for concrete, that's fine. I placed a few roboports around. Later, instead of logistic bots, I will prefer crawler cargo bots. This is tier 1, and it looks really slow, but tier 2 crawler bots are much faster. I will also upgrade their speed. They can carry one stack of an item and have much longer flying time, so they will become my main transporter. Now I use wastewater properly. Sulfuric wastewater is especially important because sulfur demand will be really high. Geodes are also important. We use them to produce mineral catalyst, and mineral catalyst is required to produce specific ores. As I unlock new plates, I expanded this zone to produce them. I don't need them much yet, but I will soon. I begin using fluid burning boilers to consume excess fuel. Power usage is around 40 megawatts. I connected advanced circuits to chemical science pack production, but then I noticed logistic science pack shortage. When I traced it back, I realized the problem was low tin ore production. I will fix it in the next few hours. I also started using stored slag for concrete. Higher tier buildings will need these concrete bricks. After chunks we have crystals. I get crystals using chunks and sulfuric acid in leaching plants. Crystals will be used for producing new ores. Paper production is here, and it's needed for phenolic board production. Tin plate shortage was fixed, but new issues appeared. Even with different molten iron and molten steel recipes, production is not enough. At this point I started to consider building a new base. I built this area for cobalt steel plates, but it's not working as I expected. Now it's time to build the permanent base. This one is too messy to upgrade. That's why I decided to build a new one. I chose to start from here. It will take time, but the result will be much better. First, I will build stations for all crushed ores and crushed stones. While placing rails and stations, I also started producing transport science packs. Progress is slow, but that's okay. With dualite, all crushed ores are ready. I bring crushed stones here from different stations to prevent clogging. I started producing iron, copper, tin and lead ores directly. This requires mineral catalyst, which I will scale up. Processed ores are then sent by trains to next stage. Crushed ores are also used for chunk production. I built separate lines and left space for expansion. There are 4 different types of wastewater and I store them here. If the tanks fills up, it gets clarified to prevent clogging. That's not ideal since wastewater is valuable and I will fix that later. Finally, I store chunks at these stations and they are transported by trains to where they are needed. I started producing production science packs, but labs are idle since there is nothing to research right now. To progress, I need to get uranium ore or titanium plates. My focus is still the new base, but I make small updates here. Chunks are used to produce zinc, aluminium, silver, nickel and silicon ores. This process also requires crystal catalysts. Outputs are transported by trains as always. Finally, I started ingot production for iron, copper, lead and tin. I will use this whole area for production of different ingots. I started to use wastewater for useful products. I moved production of some chemicals here. I also rebuilt the multi-phase oil area in a much more organized way. The old one was too chaotic. I will expand it from time to time. Crystal production from chunks is now set up. Different acids are used here. Half of the old base is gone. Labs are still running slowly. I also dismantled the Jivolite area I built earlier. One ore patch is enough for now. I increased the chunk production as planned. The crystal production area is ready. Here I produce gold, uranium, titanium and cobalt ores using hybrid catalyst. Uranium will be processed here, others go to trains. I started to produce cobalt ingots and I will place others around this zone, but I need to build the train stations first. I built a new power area using fluid burning boilers. Trains bring excess fuel from oil processing zone. Power usage is around 130 megawatts. Mineral sludge is produced from thermal water and it goes to mineral catalyst production. I expanded this area further. New fluids are constantly needed, so most of them are produced here. The ingot production area is now completed. Now it's time to use everything. I first planned to use trains for transferring ingots, but then I decided it's unnecessary and switched to crawler cargo boats. They carry one stack of an item and work well since distances are short. Belts could work too, but boats keep things cleaner. I also use different molten metal recipes and I will fill the remaining space later. I reorganized science pack production. There are still some shortages, but it's fine. I increased plate production and added lithium processing. I had a major issue with crystal catalyst production because geodes were not enough. Then I realized there is an amazing recipe for it, which completely solved my shortage. This is the recipe. After setting it up, the problem is gone for good. I finally unlocked the jetpack. Unfortunately, it's placed quite deep in the tech tree in this mod. Let's do a quick base tour. I built the final stage of the ores here. I continued with small improvements. I'm using the last free space for platinum ingots. The next step is preparing the rocket silo. Everything is ready except rocket fuels. tungsten production is here. There is a small issue with copper ingots, but I ignored it for now. Once rocket fuel is ready, we can finish the run. And we are ready to go. After 97 hours, this run came to an end. It was a really fun experience and I enjoyed every part of this mod. I played 5 more hours to stabilize Science Pack production. Let's take a final base overview. Power usage is around 400 megawatts and I barely had any issues during the entire run. There are still things to improve, but I'm ending the run here. There are mini mods in line, waiting their turn. Next one will be Lunar Landings, where I will visit Lunar. It's also a very fun mod. I will share it in a few weeks. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please like the video and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.